Well, welcome to another fillet video, guys, and this time we are doing something a little bit unconventional. This is about a 10-pound freshwater drum, and I'm going to show you how to fillet this fish to make sure that you get the best eating fillets off of a drum. Now, not everybody eats drum, but I've found if you fillet these properly and take care of them by bleeding them out first, keeping them on ice, and removing that kind of muddy tasting bloodline on the backside of the fillet, these fish really are almost as good as saltwater drum, and they're really closely related to those fish. So it's really not a surprise that they actually taste quite good. Let's get started on this fish and I'll show you how to fillet a freshwater drum. All right, guys, to fillet this fish, I'm gonna be using two different knives here. This is the 8-inch Rapala Stealth FXF knife, and this is the 11-inch. Nice to have a little bit bigger fillet knives for fish this size. And these have nice flexible blades, but not too flexible, just stiff enough, and they are both very well made knives, and you'll see they're very sharp as well. So let's get started. We're going to start with the 8-inch knife here just to remove the fillets off this fish. And drum have pretty tough scales, so you do want to kind of come in at an angle. You don't want to saw straight through them. So I typically angle my knife a little bit, and I'm starting this first cut right up behind the head, just like so, just kind of like a typical cut on most fish that we fillet. And with this fish, I'm not going to try and cut through the rib cage because the rib cage is very stout. These things have incredibly thick ribs, so I'm going to fillet over the top of the rib cage. So to do that, we're going to find that rib cage. We can feel our knife poking into it here. We're going to turn the knife blade, and we're just going to follow that fillet right down along these bones coming off the back of the spine here. Just fillet right through, just an inch or two deep. And once we get to right about the vent here, we can poke all the way through the fish, kind of pop over that spine. It can be a little tough on these bigger fish, but once you find it, you're good. So there we go. Now we're through, and we're just going to work our knife kind of over each vertebrae and pop it over those vertebrae and all the way down through the tail. Now we're going to come back here, and we're going to just start sliding our knife along those bones as we remove the fillet. Perfect. Now you can hear my knife kind of hitting those ribs. We're just going to slide up and over those rib bones as we pull the fillet up. All right. There we go. And you're going to feel the pin bones right here as you hit the kind of the peak of those ribs. You're going to have to cut through those. Again, this knife is very sharp and it slides through those pin bones pretty easily. And we're just going to cut down the back side of them here like so and cut that fillet right off there. That's actually a really nice looking piece of meat. It does remind me a lot of a saltwater drum. All right, we're going to put that to the side and let's flip this fish now. We're just going to repeat the process on this side. Now here's where that nice long 11-inch blade comes in handy, is for skinning a wide fillet like this. You just have a lot more room to maneuver through. So on any fish that's got a strong bloodline on the backside, which you'll see here in a second, like this drum, I'm going to make my cut a little bit shallow. I'm not going to push it all the way down to the skin, and you'll see why here in a second. So we're just going to start our cut about 1/8 to 1/4 inch off the skin. This takes a little practice to do correctly, and it takes a little bit longer than it might if you were just pushing it down to the skin and trying to remove everything, but it really saves you time in the long run. As you can see, I'm just working my blade through at about that 1/4 to 1/8 inch off of the skin. And this long sharp knife makes a huge difference when you're trying to do this. There we go. All right, now you'll see exactly why I was doing that. You can see all this red stuff here. That's all left on the skin. Now I got a little bit deep right here, so I'm gonna have to trim that off. But all this stuff I don't have to mess with now. And that is the stuff we're trying to remove. All right, there's a couple things we have to do on this fillet now. And one is to remove the pin bones. So the pin bones are gonna be right along the lateral line here, and they don't go very far down on a drum. But you can feel them right here. There's just a few of them. Let's see. Yep, they're right there. And we're just going to cut on the dorsal side, Man, this fish has such firm flesh on it. We're gonna remove that little chunk there with the pin bones in it. There we go. So that's got the pin bones. We'll take that right out. So there you go. Now that we've got the pin bones out, we're gonna flip the fillet back over. And as you can see here, all this red stuff has to go. We got to get rid of that. There's fat in there, and that's where the fishy, muddy taste comes from on these fish that a lot of people complain about. If we can get rid of that, we're gonna have some really nice looking fillets here. So what I do with this stuff is basically I just am going to trace my blade as lightly as I can and remove that red layer. So I'm just going to start here, kind of work my way across the fish. And once you get a little bit started, you can kind of peel it, and you see it comes right off, just like that. And that is the part that we do not want. So we can toss that, and we just work our way right down the fish, just removing that real thin layer of red meat. Okay. And now what I do is I actually split the fillet, because this whole lateral line is going to have some of that red stuff in the middle. So we're just going to cut right down the center of that. If there's any left, you can just sort of trim it off like so. And that is looking really good. I mean, this meat is so firm, you would not believe how this stuff feels. I mean, it feels like saltwater fish. So I'm super excited to eat this, actually. I think it's going to be really, really good. So let's finish trimming this up. Now we have to do this side. Same thing. Just start wherever that red starts. Trim it right up. Now, the reason I don't cut all of this off in the skinning process, I just try and get as much as I can. But you're going to lose quite a bit of meat if you try and cut all of it off in the skinning process. So there we go. Trim that up. And there we have two nice chunks. Now there is a little bit of fat right up here on the dorsal side, and we can certainly trim that off too. Fat is usually not what you want. So trimming that off will help. And that right there is like, oh, looks really good. Well, there you have it, guys. That is how to fillet a freshwater drum. If you want to watch the full catch and cook on this fish, which I recommend, I'll leave a link down below for that video, because this fish was absolutely delicious, and I want you to see how good these fish can turn out. You know, drum are actually mostly crustacean eating fish. They have crushers in the back of their throat that are designed to crunch up crustaceans and mollusks, and that diet gives them a very good flavor. As long as you take care of them and clean them like I showed you, they're a very, very good eating fish, and I think you'll be happy with the results. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe before you leave, and we'll see you next time. Get hooked up.